Welcome to the Professionally Evil Perspective. I'm Nathan Sweeney.
And I'm Kevin Johnson.
Kevin, I have a letter from a listener that we're going to start with today to introduce our topic.
Oh, no, I'm worried.
I know. I'm really excited about
worried.
this.
You didn't even warn me about this.
I know. This is, I wanted to get your, unprepared response.
Is this like one of those YouTube reaction videos?
Exactly. No, it's TikTok, man. YouTube is for grandparents. Come on.
Well, I'm not a grandparent yet, but as of Sunday, I'll be older.
Oh, that's true. I mean, To be fair, as of tomorrow, you'll be older.
That's a good point. As of right now, I'm older.
And now, and actually, just thinking back at the last few episodes, do we need to prepare ahead of time who we're going to offend? Because I know we offended all the French people and then everybody from Alabama. I don't know what our plan is for this episode. Do we need to?
My plan was to offend all of the Cathys.
All of the Cathys.
Every Cathy out there.
Awesome. Well, we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll offend somebody before it's over. So here's the letter. It says, "Hi, Kevin and Nathan. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. I loved your episode on facial recognition technology. You're both very wise and handsome. I'm curious what your opinion is of Apple's AirTags and the risk of bad people stalking me. Thanks.
I feel like
love, Mom."
I was going to say, I felt like your mom wrote this. I was literally about to say, did your mom write this? You're both so handsome.
No, it's a good question though. Like, did we
really get somebody ask us about iPods? AirPods?
Sure, absolutely. Wait, hold on. Are you accusing me of planting evidence to influence production quality here? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it. Matter of fact, I don't think I was implying it. I think I was outright saying it.
Oh man, no, seriously, AirTags. Like, there's all kinds of hubbub about AirTags and what can be done and blah blah blah. And I say blah blah blah. That probably offended people who are freaked out about it. But I'm curious about the privacy implications, and maybe more interestingly to me is how do we make decisions about risk? And to the point of the question, it's kind of similar to the facial recognition technology, right? Like, At what point is the value worth potential cost or actual cost?
Right off the bat, I think we need to acknowledge the fact that people aren't good at assessing risk.
Oh, people suck at risk.
Right. And the reason I know this is because there's a Shark Week on Discovery Channel, but not a Cow Week. Yeah. Even though more cows kill people, more people are killed by cows than by sharks.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, the fact that we have the Patriot Act in the U.S., right? Like, that is oh my gosh, government, please help us.
No, that's not an assessment of people assessing risk. That's an assessment of how crappy politicians assess risk.
No, I would say in 2003 when it passed, that was an assessment of crappy politicians. The fact that it's still here 18, 19 years later is
still
an assessment
of crappy politicians.
I blame the people after 20 years.
I would blame the people that we still have crappy politicians.
That's my point. But people are saying, like, when the conversation comes up of, you know what, this is taking away some of my freedom, some of my good things, but I'm scared, so we need to take it away anyway.
Yeah. I think talking politics, I think a good example of that is Congress has an approval rating of like 18%. I think the average
that's
for
generous.
Congress. Yeah. I think the average approval rating for Congress is somewhere around 15 to 20%. Yet something like 95% of politicians that run for re-election to Congress are re-elected. And people, when they're interviewed, will say, "Oh yeah, Congress sucks, but my guy, he's got our back."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reality is they have no idea. They have no way to assess that. And when you talk about things like facial recognition and AirTags and what have you, people don't understand it. And I think AirTags is actually a good example. I was just talking yesterday with Tom Eston and Scott Wright in the podcast we were doing. We were talking about changes to AirTags in iOS and things like that. And we were talking about it, and it was like, when Tile came out, Tile was a precursor to AirTags. I looked at them and I assessed the risk. And I'm not saying I'm good at that. I'm just going to say that I have a little bit more understanding of the threats.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, people pay us to do that, right? Like, that's literally our job.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But so when I looked at it, I thought, okay, this is a privacy issue, but due to the lack of adoption of the Tile app, it is less of a privacy risk than it could be,
Sure.
right? Whereas now with AirTags, any Apple device, iPhone, iPad, I believe the Macs can do the same thing. They can detect an AirTag and track it and stuff like that. The privacy concern escalates drastically due to the, what is the word, prevalence? I don't know if I say that word right.
No, that's fair though. I think we know what you mean. It's more
Yeah.
common, so there's more likelihood of it being abused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's easier for the abuser to use it,
Yeah.
right? So I think when we talk about privacy,
well, hold on. I want to go back to the tile thing real quick before you leave there, because
yeah,
so funny thing, like some of my family has a bunch of tiles, and I'm always like, I'm not sure. Honestly, my reason for not caring and not wanting them was because the prevalence thing, and I'm like, if I get it, the battery expires every year, and I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. I don't want to have to buy new batteries all the time and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, whatever. So
the batteries aren't replaceable in the tile.
Some of them there are now. They have several different models.
Okay.
And so I actually have like 5 or 6 of them now. I have one on multiple sets of keys. I have one in my wallet. You're going to love this. My toddler's blankie, right? He's got this little square blankie that he has to sleep with and he carries around everywhere. We have one. We sewed one inside of it. And here's why. We have lost that thing so many times. It has created so much drama and utter hell. Like we put one inside of it.
Let's be very clear. Old kitty and baby, because my kids are great at naming dolls. We lost old kitty.
Yeah.
And it was this panic. And what it turned out, you want to talk about finding it, right? If I had the ability to shove a tile up old kitty's ass, I would have done it. We had left it in a shopping cart. The shopping cart got pushed into the cart return.
Yeah.
So it was, like it was up against another cart and old kitty was right there. And like a week later, somebody went to, I don't remember if it was Walmart or Target, and they pulled the cart out and old kitty was right there.
Right.
And they turned old kitty in. And we had called like this is bad.
Yeah,
totally get it. Totally get it.
Now, to be fair, with the tile usage, I mean, yes, you could track my kid where he's at. You could track my keys and know where they're at if you know which tile is mine and all that stuff. The issue I think people have with the AirTags is not, here, you're using AirTags and so I can track you. It's, I'm going to surreptitiously put a tag on you. And I struggle with this for a couple. There's 2 articles I've seen. Well, there's a lot of articles. There's 2 types of situations. One is we're going to put them on a car, like a really fancy, expensive car, and then track the car back to wherever it goes and then go steal it there when it's more convenient. Supposedly, like somewhere in Britain, I think, or the United Kingdom or England or whichever one of those countries. I don't know what's the difference between them. Supposedly, that's happened a few times. Like they have evidence of it, according to the police. I don't know what I think about that. Like tracking cars. If a car is valuable enough that you're going to track it back to where it's from and then steal it, would that prevent you from stealing it anyway? It's just it's easier to track.
My opinion is most of those stories are anecdotal and made up.
Well, this one, made up. Yeah, we can post a link in the York Regional Police say they've had 5 cases where they know they've been used to track expensive vehicles.
And the York Regional Police also post every Halloween, watch out for razor blades.
Razor blades in candy. Fair enough. Here's the deal. When somebody outside of Twitter, when an authority says, this is a specific case that we've seen this, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. I actually looked into that one a little bit more.
Yeah.
And the we know these cases are about people trying to steal. They don't. What they know is that an AirTag was put on a car. They don't know intent. They don't know why, and the cars weren't stolen. I actually looked at this particular case.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
And what is more likely, based on actual cases, is that an abuser has put the tag on a car or in a person's purse or whatever.
Or, I mean, here's the deal. If they're that nice of cars, who drives nice cars? The kind of people that paparazzi might want to follow after? right?
Totally.
If I'm trying to
Yeah.
get that photo of somebody, knowing where they're at, that seems a
Yeah.
lot more likely. Which,
And that's why I say is intent is the thing.
yeah.
So I'm not saying that the AirTag wasn't used to track the person. I'm saying it's actually a bigger privacy concern than a theft threat.
Yeah. Well, that's good
Right?
then. So that takes off one of the two categories. So let's talk about the other category then, because the one that gets all of the drama and the excitement is these things are being placed on women who then somebody can follow them home. And there was a BBC article. How long ago was this? We'll put this in the show notes. Last month in January, there was this BBC article saying AirTags are a perfect tool for stalking. And there's all these women that claim that they've been tracked by an AirTag.
Yes.
Here's my problem, because I dug into this one because I was like, really? Like, is this really happening that often? They quote two different women who say, we went out in public and we came home and our phone popped up saying there's a unregistered AirTag near you somewhere, and it's tracking us. And we went to the police and we went to the Apple store and they told us it might be on our car, and we haven't been able to find them anywhere, but it might be on our car somewhere.
Yeah.
Here's my issue with that. Do you know what the range is on those?
Quite a bit.
Bluetooth 5 supports up to 800 feet.
Yep. Which is why. Have you seen the new update? This is actually, now we've wrapped it around to what we were talking about yesterday with Tom and Scott.
With the shared security podcast, right?
Yeah, shared security podcast.
Another great one for folks to check out.
I'm biased. I think it's awesome, but I'm on it. So
it's gone downhill the last couple of years.
Since they added me back, right? So previously to the beta that's out right now, the final release is now. Previously, an iPhone, if I own the AirTag, I can use the, what is it, ultra wide high band or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember all the terms.
Right. To track it very granularly. Oh, it's in the couch cushions, right? Or whatever. If I don't own the AirTag, up until this beta, all I could know is it was around me, which goes into your comment of the range, right? As of whatever the version 15.4 beta, whatever, something or other, now, if you get the notification that says, hey, there's an AirTag tracking you, potentially, right, whatever that notification says, even though you don't own the AirTag, you can use the UWHB or UHWB to granularly track it. So that idea of, we don't know where this is, our phone is warning us about it, which is scary. I totally get that, right?
Yeah.
Now they would be able to say, okay, great, tell me where the hell this thing is, and granularly track it. Here's the thing. I've talked to people I trust who have worked cases where women in bad relationships with stalkers, with abusers, with whatever, have been tracked with AirTags. Absolutely been tracked by them. The problem that we run into is that when we talk about things online, and this I think is what goes back to understanding risk, right?
Yep.
Are women threatened? Absolutely. If a person says to me, I think I'm being stalked, I think I'm being harassed, my answer is, good, let's help fix this. Let's go, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm gonna land on the side of believing that person.
Oh yeah.
The issue is that it's very easy to say, oh, I know a person, I knew a person, I knew a person who knew a person who knew a person who knew a person who knew a person, right? And that's where we get into the problem of assessing risk.
Yeah.
Have you heard the thing about the zip ties on mirrors? Or windshield wipers or something like that? Kathy's shaking her head, yes.
I don't think I've heard that one. What's that?
So if you're a woman and you walk out to your car and there's a zip tie around the mirror, or like the outside mirror on your car or on the windshield wiper, don't stop to take it off. Don't get in the car and drive immediately to the
It's a
police
distraction to keep you from looking
because it's sex trafficking and they know that you're a woman by yourself and da-da-da-da. And when you track those types of things down, they're the same thing as, gang members will shoot anybody who flashes their headlights at them while they're driving around, right? Like those types of... It doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Yeah. To your point there, like one of the tweets that I first saw that sparked this went back to the EFF person, Eva from EFF. Yep. Like she's... I hate Twitter. And that generally bleeds over to everyone who's overly dramatic on Twitter. But she's one of those people that, like, has really promoted this. Oh my gosh, this is a horrible, bad thing. And I've talked to all these women that this has happened. But then when people actually started asking for like, all right, give me some details so we can like, how big a deal is this? She just doesn't respond. And I get it. Like she's probably worked some cases where she can't give details.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's one of those things where everybody says, oh, I know somebody, I've seen this, I've heard of this.
Yeah. See,
But when it actually comes,
I believe her. I know her. I've met her. And here's what I think it is.
I've seen her back off of stuff that was proved wrong later, to the point
Absolutely.
that I when you over dramatize everything, I question everything. You know what I mean? Like, why should I believe you this time?
I understand that, and I question everything as well. In her case, I think this is, I don't remember what it's called. During World War II, this is a meme that goes around all the time, and I don't know how accurate this is, but it is a meme that is valid. Whether or not it really happened in World War II or not, is they were looking at planes that survived. They like every place that there were bullet holes in the plane, they thought we should put armor there, right?
Yeah. No.
But the reality was it was the planes that didn't come back, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who works with the EFF, which is a great organization, does really good stuff. They are going to be presented with the worst case scenario.
Absolutely, yeah.
I make this case about my wife and cruises. Denise will never take a cruise.
Yeah.
Why won't you take a cruise? Because they're disgusting, horrible things that you will die if you go. Why? Because she worked at American Express in the customer support area. It was like the travel.
It was like the claims department or something like that, wasn't it?
Like if you ever had a bad cruise, you complained to American Express, and she's who took your complaint and went to the vendor to deal with it. Yeah. So all she saw was pictures of cruises with sewage-strewn hallways, right? Like, I've got to believe that the majority of cruises don't have sewage-strewn hallways. But Denise will not take a cruise, right? I think it's the same thing. She works with the EFF and is dealing with the cases, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Here's the problem I have. It's so easy for folks to say, like the car thing. Well, I found this, or I found this piece of evidence, and I don't know for sure what it is, but it looks like it could be this. And so then that turns into, well, it's clearly that.
Yeah, and that's the York Regional Police Department is a good example of that, right? It is a case of, we are the cops. We deal with theft. This must be theft. Let's go there. But let's jump all the way back to what we were really talking about here, right? How do you assess risk?
Yeah.
And that assessment of risk has to include what you think the threat is. And if the police think the threat is theft, that's going to color their entire assessment.
Yeah. Well, right? To that point, there was another article here where modders are selling silent AirTags on Etsy and eBay and stuff like that. And that's actually what kind of intrigued me about this whole topic is the idea that somebody has said, hey, I can take apart an AirTag and I can physically modify the hardware so that it doesn't make sound. Right. And of course, the drama on Twitter is, OMG, this is only used for stalkers and there's only bad sides of this. And I'm looking at it like, the thing that I hate most about the tile that's in my toddler's blankie is when he rolls over and hits the button, it goes do 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 do, right? Like that. I am so tempted to take, if it wasn't so hard to unsew it and take it apart, I'm so tempted to physically modify it myself to take out the sound. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's genius. I would love that. Yeah. But all the drama is, OMG, this is only used for stalking. I was like, if that's what you're looking for, then yeah, that's what you're going to see.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think this is a case of, I would argue that your use case of sewing it into a blankie is probably not as widespread.
I don't know. I guarantee you there are parents listening to this right now. Well,
who will do it? Yes, it will become widespread because it's a genius idea.
If we had listeners, if anybody's actually listening to this, then I'm sure they would say, you know what? I wish I had thought about that when I had kids. Or
here's what I think. I think nobody's going to do a good job of assessing risk here, and as such, it is imperative that whoever is producing the new thing, in this case, Apple, and Apple is doing stuff with it, which I'm impressed with, right? Yeah. It is imperative that when we create these new technologies, we don't go the Jurassic Park method, right?
Yeah, but
And I'm not saying that they can't generate the new park.
sure.
What I'm saying is they have to do the damnedest, and I'll admit I'm biased. It's what we do as a consultant, so hire us. But I think it's imperative that they do an assessment of the risk and they think about all these things. And there are good examples of risks that people don't think about because they haven't experienced it. The abuser stalker one is one.
Yeah.
That's something I think about quite often, and many other people don't.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to suggest that Apple hasn't thought about that, because I think there's a lot of evidence that they did put thought into that.
I would argue that I actually said I'm really happy about how Apple's doing it.
Yeah. I also want to point out that you said it's okay to build Jurassic Park as long as you do it right.
Yes.
I want to emphasize that, because we're up to what, like 6 movies now, or
are you telling me you don't want a park where you can see real dinosaurs?
Oh, I do. I would totally do it. Did you?
And if that means that every once in a while we lose a couple guests, I'm willing to accept that risk.
Listen, people die every day. They're going to die of something, right?
Exactly. And if you're going to die, let's be very clear. If I'm going to die of something, and I have a choice of, I don't know, COVID or Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
I pick Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's want fair. The headline to be Kevin got eaten by a dinosaur.
The Kevin Johnson eaten by dinosaur. Yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned COVID, because when you were talking about Jurassic Park, I was thinking of the COVID tracker that, the technology that Apple and Google built into, a year and a half ago. They very carefully thought about how to do that the right way to protect privacy. And they left, I think part of the issue there, and you and I talked about this in the past, part of the issue there was the actual implementation of how it would be used was left to the individual jurisdictions that built the app.
Yeah.
And so Apple and Google said, hey, we'll provide the framework and the ability to do this. How you implement it is up to you. I struggle with that, because there's always going to be people that create drama, and, like we talked about, politicians and socialites. I don't like the word
drama because it's been used so badly, but people are going to exaggerate threats. They're going to exaggerate what they're doing. I mean, let's be clear. We're watching that right now with Russia's invasion of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Russia exaggerated what was going on and said things that historically they've said before to justify something. And there are lots of people who are accepting that and saying, oh yeah, must be. I just saw yesterday where I saw at least 3 different people that I know that I used to consider very smart that were sharing stuff about Russia in a pro-invasion way. And I don't care the politics. I really don't. We can talk about politics. We can talk all about that. I'm not sure that I am often going to be okay with, hey, let's invade a foreign country.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying I won't ever be.
Unless it's like Canada, right?
Is invading Canada actually necessary? They're so nice to let us in. I will point out that Canada is the only country that has burned down our White House.
That's true.
So,
all right.
So want to piss them off?
Add Canadians to the offended list for this week.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is people are going to suck at evaluating risk. If you're doing something, you should at least do the best you can to do it for them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, and I would add to that, I think it's wise anytime you're making a decision about risk or considering the threats, you need as much information and you need to talk to as many people as possible, because there are going to be people that have threat models that you haven't considered. And there are going to be people that have experiences that maybe challenge your concepts of your threat model.
No, I totally know that is critical.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, that's why people hire us, right? Like we're that third party that comes in and says, hey, here's, based on our experiences, this is, maybe a way
we did this and this and this and this, and you haven't thought about that, right? And
exactly.
And then it's up to the customer at that point, or the individual, to determine whether it fits for them.
Yep.
For you, the threat model for Tile works to keep track of blankie. I happen to agree with that assessment.
Yeah.
Other people who haven't had a kid that had a blankie may not understand how absolutely critical that is.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, Kevin, it's been great.
Awesome. Thank you.
thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for me joining you. I don't know who joined who. Here
Now
we
I'm
are.
really upset that I don't think we worked hard enough at offending Kathy's.
That's true. We'll add Kathy to the next, all the Kathys to the next offensive list.
Yeah, good.
If anybody listening, if you'd like to be like my mom and send us a cool topic to talk about, or complain about the Canadians or the Russians or whoever else, hit us up. You can email us at podcast@securideas.com, or we're on the socials at securideas.
Socials.
On
Man,
the socials.
That sounds like an old man.
Hey, I'm trying to be cool. Leave me alone, dude.
I was doing a Snap Talk or something. I don't know.
The face tweet
Instabook. What is that?
Oh man. All right. Until next time. Bye.